The following episode contains language and descriptions of violence and self-harm. It may not be appropriate for all listeners, but it was my life. Discretion is advised. What up, what up? Welcome back to another episode of Roll Call with Chappy. Do me a favor, subscribe to my show. And I got a treat for you guys today. I am in this fired up for an episode in a long time. I got the snowman in the building. He just laid out his displays, about 17 different companies he's got. So do me a favor, for the people that don't know, introduce yourself, let them know how to find you and all that stuff, and then we're going to get into this, bro, and I'm excited.
My name is Josh Snow, and I've spent more than half of my life building businesses. I focus, most of my businesses that I built myself have an online component, so the brands in front of us today, Snow is the one that we're probably most known for. That's how you found us, and we've got millions of fans, millions of smiles whitened, everything from toothpaste, whitening strips, mouthwash, we've got it all. Inala is a brand we launched in January with my partner Lala Anthony, and she wanted to bring her rice water formula to millions of people. So we've created the Inala line, which is doing incredibly well. It's a rice water line for hair care, rice water rinse. We have our shampoo and conditioners coming out shortly. And then there's a Frost product up there as well, which is our new kids care line. So we wanted to take what we did for adults in oral care and bring that to the children. So those are three of the brands that we're extremely proud of. Wow.
And real quick here, I've been following this, I think I've been following him for 6 or 7 years. And the way I found him is I had gotten out of prison and this is no joke. I got out of prison after 12 years and, I was in maximum security, solitary confinement, no dentist for 12 years. I got out and I had my teeth were like butter sticks yellow. Like I was literally self-conscious to smile. So I tried to get the whitening strips at first and they worked a little bit and they hurt my teeth. And then someone sent me your stuff and I bought it and it says in the thing, you see results overnight, and it was no joke. And nothing works better than that. And I haven't used it for a year because I've just been busy and stuff. And it is it's a game changer.
The results stick. I mean, they're depending on, your staining habits. I like to drink coffee and tea and, all that stuff. And these are veneers now. We've got our veneer paste. But,
wow.
I whiten my teeth since I was a teenager, 13 years old, I was whitening my teeth. And I tried all of the underground strips and all the stuff that I would buy online. And it worked, right? My teeth were whiter. And I think it gave me a ton of confidence, especially in building my business, talking to people, being younger and less experienced. So I saw the benefits of it as a consumer, but then I ended up with super sensitive teeth. So it was okay, well, what am I going to do? Because not everybody can afford to have veneers or just swap out their teeth. How
are you the one dude that figured that out? I can't wrap my mind around that.
Well,
how many people probably thought that same thing that were using those white strips and were there's got to be a way to do this where it doesn't hurt?
There have been, though. There have been. It is true. I mean, everyone from dentists to dermatologists, other doctors have created lines that are either more premium, different ingredients. So it's been going on. It's just, you got to meet the consumer where they're at. And so, with Snow, I knew that the product had to work. The number one thing was the efficacy, and that allowed us to bootstrap to $100 million without a single dollar of outside capital because of our customers. Our customers are the investors. And nowadays, we see sometimes 40 to 50% returning customer rate. So people coming back, they see it works, and now they want the toothpaste, they want the mouthwash,
now that
they
you
want
got a
the
brand,
foam.
I'm about to buy that Inala stuff. I don't even know what it is.
That's right. Well, there's a certain quality that we try to uphold with the brands that we create, which is elevating the status of the products. It makes people feel good. And that was my epiphany was, people have continually, toothpaste is not new. It's 100 years old, and no one really complains about the price of toothpaste. All right, honey, we got to cut back to one time a day. No one really complains about that. But also, it's the number one sold retail product in North America. Number 2 is deodorant. Number 6 is soap. And so I looked at that space being so massive and said, that same thinking of why isn't anyone else doing this? And there are people out there doing it, but we wanted to marry what, if a beauty company was to create an oral care product, what would that look like? If Dyson or Apple or one of those companies were to create some of these products that we're used to, what would that look like? And so it's well, they're not going to do it. And so that was really the itch to say, there's got to be more people out there that want to feel comfortable with the products they're buying, even more so from ingredients, the fact that it works and they can recommend it to their friends. And it's nice that it looks good because it is sitting on your vanity. It's a part of, your decor. It's a part of your lifestyle. So having to hide the mouthwash bottle when people come over.
The display case is cool. When you changed it up and I got the new one too, I was that looks so much doper for sure. Yeah.
It's important. So that was, the efficacy you called out, was key. Actually, Rob Gronkowski, who's a partner in the brand.
For people that don't know, like, so how does a guy, I like to dumb it down for people, like,
Yeah,
how does a
of
guy
course.
just get connected to a guy like Rob Gronkowski?
Well, I was very fortunate in getting invited to a TV show, and so you got to be
Was that going
luck
up?
is preparedness meets opportunity. I'm always prepared for the opportunity, and
Yep.
so we are always ready, right? And so I got a call when Snow had just passed $1 million in sales, and it was really just me running the ads and working on the website, and we started to build a little bit of a team, and that's when I got the call.
Were you doing the ads yourself and everything?
Initially, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to see it for Snow, and Snow's not my first rodeo, right? I've taken $0 off the table from Snow from the beginning. My entire lifestyle, everything is non-Snow. Snow is different, and Snow is built with the intention to really see. I needed something that would hold my attention long enough, that had infinite scale. A lot of people have teeth. Very challenging, one of the most challenging spaces I could pick, because I got really good at building $10 million businesses, $25 million businesses. But I wanted to, not just from building a $1 billion business, but really building a household brand, building a household name. And so it's a lot different in terms of a lot of the other businesses I was running. But I had to kind of build my way to the point where I had the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to put money into Snow, my own money. I poured millions into Snow over the years, but in the very beginning, just me figuring this stuff out and seeing, am I crazy,
Yeah.
and
real quick, like, how do you get, like, even before then, how do you get, like, the ingredients stuff? How do you even, like, try to learn and, like, know what works and what doesn't work? Like,
So I was lucky because I was undergoing jaw surgery at the time. So I was meeting with my orthodontist, I was in braces. I'm meeting with my dentist. I became friends with my oral surgeon. And this was when I was like, hey, I've got this itch. What do you guys use? What do you guys use right now? Can I take a peek? Can I buy some of it? Where do you get it from? Can I take you to dinner? Can I take you all three to dinner? And so for me, it was leveraging, other people. And it was those experts that kind of guided me in the direction for my research to figure out, okay, what ingredients are commonly used? What ingredients aren't commonly used that could be used? And then you reach out to a few people on Google and you start the conversation for free with these formulators. And then they say, well, let me come up with something. Or have you ever thought of putting this in there? Aloe vera. Oh, aloe vera. Talk to me more about that. What would that be? And so you end up kind of for free having these
see,
conversations.
and I didn't even know that was an option. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's free, man. You go to the people that have the stuff that you need, and you convince them to share it with you. And that was my thing. I knew that a lot of people have teeth. I need something that's going to keep me focused, maybe for 50 years. Maybe I run this business for 50 years, and there's 50 years of growth potential. We could run a Super Bowl ad. This was a different brand in that essence. So, I think in the very beginning, I got this call for this show. And I said, okay, well, Snow's still pretty new. I don't know. But I said, I've got to take it. I've got to take this opportunity. When is the show? She's like, Monday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can you be here? Can you do this? Can you do this? I said, yes, 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 yes. I'll figure it out after the call. Boom, locked it in. Then I said, okay, well, I've got to prep a presentation. What am I going to pitch? I've got a few minutes in front of these athletes. So instead of on Shark Tank where you have, direct, entrepreneurs that are on the panel, this was celebrity athletes that are on the panel, and it was called MVP, incredible show. And so I was invited to that. I was the last one to go up at the end of the night. I had been there 12 plus hours sitting in this little green room.
How long ago was this?
Years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
And so I went up there, and one of the judges was Rob Gronkowski and Chuck Liddell. And so I went up there and did a pitch. Everyone went in. It was the biggest deal on the show.
No way.
The show went 2 seasons, and that was season 2. And so after the show, we ended up closing the deal with Chuck Liddell, and I made Chuck Liddell and Rob Gronkowski partners of the business. Not for any cash exchange. That wasn't part of the deal on the show. It was for their celebrity, and they'd promote it. And Rob's stipulation was, right after the show, he said, hey, man, I've never whitened my teeth before. I've got super sensitive teeth. I'm going to give this a shot. I'll give it 21 days, and then I'll give you a call if I want to move forward the deal. It was straightforward. And our ingredients are even better now, and our package, everything's much better now. But back then, I knew, because from the day one, I said, we have to be able to sell something that works. If it works, no matter what else is involved, if it works, people will stick to it and they'll want it. And oral care is a space where you can have a customer from age 2 with our kids care line, teething gel, to 112, denture care, gum care. So 100 years of a customer, I don't want
Wow.
to ruin that relationship. And so that's where the celebrities came in. I think that show helped me understand just the power of taking something boring or commoditized like oral care and putting my spin on it and using other people's networks, other people's influence to get that out and to say, wait a second, not just oral care is cool, oral care with snow is cool. And that was really what propelled. We spent over 100 million now in advertising the brand.
Have
that
you
was
really?
that was the start of, wow, if we're not crazy, people like this. Celebrities are willing to talk about this. They're actually using the product. Rob's sending in his before and afters, and like, this is a thing. And we took something that was, I think, done in secret a lot more. I mean, the incumbents have had products forever. Crest, Colgate, all the great big companies have had whitening products forever, long before us. But I think that with the focus, and our business doubled during the pandemic, which we were scared because of this mask going on. But what happened was Zoom turned on. And now the only focus was you could be wearing shorts or anything, but the
smile.
face and that smile became everything,
Makes
just like on
sense.
social media. And so we leaned into that, and our business grew as a result of it. But really what we found was that we created a brand from scratch that could connect to millions of customers, that would allow them, just like they're upgrading their food, keto, paleo, gluten-free, vegan hair care, vegan skin care, but yet we brush twice a day and no one knows what's in our toothpaste. Like, no one questions that stuff on an open scale, but we're spending 20 bucks on kombucha. So that was like, there's a disconnect here. And I feel like we can do our job of filling that gap and doing so in a premium way. Our products are sold everywhere from Neiman Marcus to Walgreens, and they carry the same price across the line. So it's
Really? Wow.
very, as a premium brand, we carry that. And really the exciting growth that comes next is making our products even more accessible, which means breaking them down so that they don't last as long in terms of the usage. Toothpaste lasting 3 months, maybe it lasts 1 month instead of 3 months. And so that'll allow us to drop the pricing, allow us to open up to more customers, but without compromising the ingredients, without compromising the stuff that's important to us. But that's where Rob and Chuck came in. They came in very early in the business, and they wanted to see that it worked. Chuck was like,
So what did he say after 21 days?
Yes, he did.
Or was he, like,
immediately.
fired up? He was like,
"Oh, it
I'm
was
shocked."
It was not like, this is magic, and this is what I want." And we've taken that magic, and our new white strips are called the Magic Strips. And then we have our magic powder, which you can sprinkle on. It's the world's first powder. You can sprinkle onto any toothpaste, not ours, fine, but you sprinkle that on, and in 1 second, you have Snow's whitening power with whatever toothpaste you want to use.
No way.
So we took that
Like,
magic
keep the
element.
crest, I still got you, huh?
Sure. I mean, you got to meet them where they're at, right? And it was nice.
Damn.
The celebrities helped us meet a lot of those people where they were at and have a chance to share a message.
Dude, and I'm not joking. I mean, there's big companies, like Cody, all of them do really well, and Matt Morgan, all of them. But like, there's no one that has like the celebrities promoting their stuff that I've seen with yours, bro. Like Oprah Winfrey, Floyd Mayweather. I think Ellen DeGeneres. Like,
Yes.
dude, it's like.
Yes.
And when I saw the Ellen one, I was just like, no way, dude. It's like you're absolutely everywhere, bro.
It was crazy with the Ellen one because after that feature, we were fortunate to be on the show. We're fortunate to be on the show multiple times. And what was crazy about that show is that I got so many phone calls that next day and text messages, which is incredible. I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because there's something about being on TV, like being on big TV and being prominently there, that makes you a household presence. Maybe not a household brand or household name, but you have your 5 seconds of shine.
It's like Ellen co-signing.
Yes, Alan co-signing, but you're also embedding yourself in someone's behavioral schedule. They go, I watch Ellen every day, and anything in that hour is my sacred time. And so if there's something inside of that,
What do you think
I
they're doing on the
treat it
commercial breaks or
differently.
something too? Yeah.
Exactly. They treat it differently, like podcast ads,
Yeah.
where the read is different and there's more passion. Yes, they love Joe Rogan, but also that's their time where they're driving to work and they're listening to that podcast. So it's an intimate time. And I think it was wild when I got all those calls the next day, because it wasn't like the biggest sales pop in the world. It wasn't like, it didn't change our business overnight.
Yeah.
It really was an activation trigger that we were really excited to do, and we propelled it. But the way it felt was that we had made it. And I looked over to my fiance, Charlie, and I was like, babe, this feature is going to do more for the brand and for our personal lives and for my life as an entrepreneur, because even though it's not the most amazing feat in the world, in my opinion, it's something that is very difficult to scale. And when you get to that point, it stands out so much. And so that's why my methodology has always been, how do we do less with more impact? And how do we stage that impact so that together it creates like a symphony of brand recall, which makes you really want to absorb the minds of your customers. If you have a good enough product and you have good enough opportunity to serve those customers, you deserve to absorb all of the mind share, just like Audible. I mean, name another audiobook app. Like they consume the audio, and their number one source of traffic now is podcast ads because people are already on there. And so that's how I built a lot of these businesses, is finding these very large commoditized areas and realizing an opportunity to either improve the ingredients, improve the experience, improve the accessibility of the product, or all three of those, and then do so in a way that we're very bold about. And I think it's important. I called it Snow from the very beginning. And it was like, that's it. And they're like, you can't ever get that trademark. You're never going to get the username. You're never going to get those things. But Snow was different. We wanted it to be different.
And it doesn't if you listen to people. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's intentionality.
Yeah.
I think is something that's threaded inside of even our products. We want people to feel bad when they have to recycle or toss their packaging from us. We want them to feel a little bit bad because if you look at your packaging, what's the only stuff you don't throw away? Apple. It's very few. That MacBook box, for some reason, you still got it.
So that's what you went after with that? Yeah. Wow, smart. All right, so and for everybody that don't know, his student isn't even 30 years old yet. I just found that out myself, dude. So yeah, you talk about having these businesses for 15 years. They don't even know you're not 30. So I want to, dude, growing up like with a brain like this, what was school like for you and everything? And how did you start doing this? Because you got making money at 15 or 17 or something, right?
13.
13?
13.
All right, so let's do a crash course. How to be the next Josh Snow, like growing up as a child, and how'd you do your stuff, man?
Well, I had some very unique circumstances that aren't really all that too unique, but they're unique to me in the sense that growing up with not a ton of money, step one, that naturally creates a desire for hustle, grit, thrive in adversity, a lot of things. Also teaches a lot of bad behaviors that have to be unlearned later, but that's survival. So that was for me growing up. I always felt like I thought differently and just kind of had different ideas. When my friends were playing video games, I was thinking like, why doesn't it have this? Like they should have this inside of there. And like, how would you make that? And like, could we add it? And everyone else was like, no, let's just keep playing the game. And so I knew something was different with me, but like, it was hard to talk about growing up, and not in my household, but like more in the community, because the entrepreneurship to this degree just obviously wasn't a part of my daily, curriculum. It was like focus on graduating high school was really the focus, not, college as a bonus, really. Just kind of similar to a lot of neighborhoods. Normal life. That I think really set a foundation for me to say, okay, no one owes me anything. I have to figure out how to build this stuff on my own. And if I get successful enough, then I might be able to help my family out, and I might be able to do it before going to medical school because I wanted to be a doctor. But the first half of my academic career as a kid, I was kind of rebellious. I was a class clown. I was rebellious. I didn't get great grades. I was bored. I was bored in class, right? And looking back on it, you go, oh, that's what happened. But then
didn't work when you told your teachers that when you're a kid, I'm too smart for this class, right?
Well, they tried. I mean, they moved me up a grade for math class one time, but then I got in trouble, so they put me right back. And it was always like, if they would look at me with this sorrow, like, you're so smart. You're such an old soul. Yeah. You should not be doing this. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And so finally, I was in 6th grade, 6th or 7th grade, and I was like, you know what? I've got to figure out this grade stuff. Like, I've got to figure out how to do this school stuff and like pay attention. And so I took on, I applied for the honors classes, and I started playing sports, and I started to fill myself up with just a lot of stuff to do. So I'd be constantly tired, I guess, so I could focus. And so, and that's where it changed from, kind of bad student to A+ student. Okay. And it was really about my intentionality. I immediately saw who's getting good grades in the class. That's who I need to partner with. I need to humble myself. I need to stop making jokes.
Just like who you hang out with out here.
It's true, man. You know what happened one day was I made a joke in class and people didn't laugh, and you could see like they didn't really want me to make jokes anymore. And it was like, wow, what am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And I was like, I have no audience. I was like, you know, I'm over here laughing, but I'm getting bad grades, and everyone else is going to get scholarships and stuff, and I'm going to be left behind.
Yeah.
So there was a moment when I was, 12, 13 years old or whatever, that it hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I keep going this way, I may not end up in a good scenario. And I think growing up and seeing, my oldest brother, in and out of prison, and just, for back in the day, funny enough, I'm not funny at all, but the legalization of marijuana, where it started, where he started to get picked up on, now you can walk around with marijuana without a problem. He wouldn't have had an issue. But anyway, I saw that and I go, okay, I can see in my family, and my brother would always tell me, he's like, you don't want to go down this path. You need to stay focused. And so I was like, all right, that woke me up.
Were you guys close still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're close all the time. He always had, he'd always have wisdom for me, just lots of just direct advice. And I took that and I said, okay, I've got to become a better student because no one else is going to help me. I can't afford college, so I've got to get scholarships. I don't even know what those are, but I just know I got to do better. So I started getting the good grades. And then that's when I started going to the public library and I got introduced to the computers more. And that's where I decided I wanted to make my first website. And it was at the Phoenix Public Library because we didn't have a computer at home. So I was at the Phoenix Public Library and I had 1 hour a day, and you swipe a card, and I would read how to build a website for dummies, and I would sit there with an hour and I'd make my little website, and every day I'd make it. And one day someone said, I'll pay $400 to put an ad on your website. And that's what started. I go, oh, this could make money? Could this change my life?
And
could
how old
this
are you?
be something? 13, 14 years old. Yeah, I was a teenager.
Wow.
It was crazy, man. I knew nothing. You don't know what you don't know, and
For
sometimes
sure.
that's your most powerful trait.
100%.
And I just went at it, and I didn't know I thought you had to have a PhD or a degree to make a website. Once I figured that out, I was like, oh, I don't need anyone's help. I can literally make whatever website I want. And then people are like, could you make me a website? I'll pay you $5,000. And it's like, whoa. $5,000 to do something I would do for free.
So then you
because
just started
awesome
making websites at 13, 14?
for other people.
Wow.
For other people.
All right, then what?
So I started making websites for other people, but I kept making websites for myself.
Okay.
And what I would do in the library is I'd run over to the library, I'd read the magazine, and let's say if I had a parenting blog, pseudonym, no one knew who I was, I'd create this blog, and I'd rewrite some of those articles. I'd have my opinion on them, pop, 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 pop. The reason why I could type so fast, which was a huge strength in the beginning of my career, especially, my mom brought home just a blank keyboard, or like just a keyboard, no computer or anything. And when I was a kid, and I would sit there and I would just by myself watch cartoons, and I would try to type what they would say. Random, so random.
Wow.
But then, and I remember in typing class, the teachers were always weirded out. I always won everything, and they were just weirded out. And then it came down to when I started to program that I could like do it at the same time because I was typing, and my typing actually was so fast that it allowed me to create websites faster. I could create 5 websites in a weekend. It was great, but I was creating these websites for myself too. And I found out that I could put ads on my own websites, that I could make money for every click. And I said, that's crazy. I could go to sleep and I could make 20 cents while I slept. That happened. So I had a little Google AdSense. They put little ads on my blogs. I went to sleep. I woke up one day. I checked my little thing, and it showed that I made 20 cents, right? And that was the first time where I was like, whoa, I made money. My website's making money without me being there, without me selling. I don't have to do anything. And then I said, okay, what is next? What else can I do? And then I stumbled into affiliate marketing, selling other people's products. And I said, instead of making 20 cents a click on my parenting website, if I put a life insurance offer on there, I make $30 a sign up or $100 a sign up. And so it changed the way that I was building these websites for myself, so that I started to go after categories where people would pay a lot of money to drive those customers.
Yeah.
And I started to lean in on the agency I was building that I didn't know I was building at the time, building websites for other people. And I had to build a team, but I was in high school, Alhambra High School. So I'm in school all day.
Where's
I'm
that
playing
at?
football, 39th Avenue in Camelback.
Okay.
So
West Side?
West Side,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I grew up on 64th Avenue in Thomas. So for 18 years. So
Wow.
That's my upbringing, but in my
You
head,
probably buy 64 than Thomas.
that's
Stock.
right. That's right. I mean, so but like
Yeah.
in my head though, always, and it wasn't always like how it was, but my head, I was always thinking a different world. I was in a different world in my head, and I just had to make my reality that. And I realized that I couldn't do all alone. I had to figure out how to ask people for help. And that was difficult for me because growing up, I couldn't really ask people for help, not because they didn't want to help, but because maybe I was in an advanced class, algebra, something like that. And I, just didn't have people around. So I didn't learn how to utilize that. So starting to hire people was very difficult for me in the very beginning. And I went on Google and I said, how to hire people without an office. And I found freelancers, freelancer.com, Odesk, which is now upwork.com.
That's how powerful Google is, bro, right?
Google is my best friend. I owe everything to Google and YouTube. And I searched that.
YouTube too, yeah.
YouTube's the best. I mean, and I put those two together and I said, okay, if I continue to make these websites that are selling other people's products, maybe one day I could sell my own products on these websites. So that was just a little bit of an itch of what we see today. Mm-hmm. And really what I was focused on was building great visibility online and then heightening that visibility through search engine optimization, Google ads, Facebook ads now, all of these things. That was the start of my services. And then I started to hire freelancers all over the world that I would manage. Literally, I bought a laptop. I sold one of my websites. I bought a laptop. I asked for permission to bring my laptop. If I was done with work, I could sit in the back and just check Skype for 10 minutes before my next class. Bing, 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 the bell would ring. And I could check on all my clients, their projects, and they're in the Philippines, Pakistan, all over Ukraine, US, all over the place. And I was hiring these people, paying them through PayPal. And that's how I was building that agency. But I had the big revelation for wealth creation was that if I take those skills, and yes, I lease them out to clients and we do it as a service, but then using it on our own stuff and then realizing that we could sell other people's products. And that's where I made my first $1 million was selling other people's products. It wasn't selling my own stuff, eventually services and stuff. But in terms of products, I didn't create my own products until me and one of my clients, who's one of my best friends now, Tommy Mello, here locally, has one of the most successful garage service companies in the country, built it from scratch. I've seen him do it for the last 10 years. He came to me and said, hey, Josh, what do you think about A1 Garage?
Oh, okay.
And he came to me and says, Josh, what do you think about selling garage springs online? For DIY, people want to save money, do it themselves. It could be dangerous. He can create the content, now has millions of views on YouTube, never advertised it. And so we created Garage Door Nation together. And that gave me the inkling of, wow, we can actually do the website, the marketing, create the product, ship it to the customer service. And this was in 2012, 2013. And so that was like, okay, it's a lot of work. You got to do customer support. You got to create the product. You got to do the returns. With the affiliate marketing stuff I was doing, just printing cash because I didn't have to deal with any of the back end. The downside of it was that I had nothing to sell at the end of the day. There's no value long term if they take out that offer. So that was really the basis of what built my kind of skill sets today that I utilize in our investments, in our branded products, product lines. Everything that you see here today is custom formulated, custom designed, nothing private labeled, never drop shipped, everything from scratch. But it's important to know the backstory of how I built the confidence to be able to do soup to nuts to bolt. But that was my goal, was one day, if I get good enough at all the pieces, I could create something from scratch that we do everything for. And that's what we see today.
I can't even think of now. My mind's wrapped around the fact that you said you can keep a customer from 2 years old to 112 too, and I'm thinking I can't even think of another industry that's like that. What did you compare it to? Because I'm sure you looked at
paper,
that. Okay, yeah.
Soap.
But even toilet paper, soap, you could see them tied to. They like to smell it. But toilet paper, they don't care about that, But
maybe deodorant. There are some staple kind of personal care categories.
I think you're just right with the toothpaste thing. It's just people have a thing with their teeth. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so then you start Snow after that?
Yes. I went through a little period.
Because that was what, you were 23 or so?
I was 23. I
and you're staying in Scottsdale the whole time, right?
Stayed in Scottsdale, graduated valedictorian from Alhambra High School.
Okay.
Went to ASU and the honors college there.
Nice.
Graduated in 24 months.
Okay. Wow.
Summa cum laude, not to brag, but to show I've come from nothing. So like this was all in my head.
Yeah.
This was all a dream. Mm-hmm. It really was.
For sure.
And I used to sit in math class and I would say, if I make 5 more websites and each one's making 500, I used to go on Google.
Do your teachers say anything to you now? Do they?
Oh, of course, they're phenomenal.
And
they honestly,
and
a lot of them were very supportive. I look back at it and I go, I must have looked like such a crazy guy, crazy kid, but they let me kind of do my thing. Even in college, when I was taking 22 credits a semester, I had to get multiple overrides to go from 12 to 22. Which
so
allowed
you were taking
me,
like double the credits?
I graduated
typically?
in half the time with 0 credits coming in. I came with nothing. So I was like, all right, 16 in the summer, 22 in the
So you had your mind made up, bro, and you were just going, huh?
And running my business from my dorm room and involved. They're just...
Were you honestly, were you partying or what were you doing on the weekends?
Not as much. I mean, not what you would think for
Yeah.
college. I mean, I definitely partied a lot more after college, but I was in and out in 24 months while building my business, and my business needed me, and I got out, and it wasn't because I need to do it in 2 years. What I did is I got my major map, and I said, okay, 4 years for my Bachelor of Science program at the business school, and I go, all right, cool. This looks good. This is a suggestion. Here's what I suggest. So I went in and I literally spent hours. It was so written on, I don't think it made any sense. I have it somewhere, but I like moved everything around and I go, got it. I figured out how to graduate in 3 years. I can get out of here in 3 instead of 4. That sounds good to me. Went to my advisor, sold her on it. She's like, okay, one stipulation, keep your grades up. So I got straight A's. So I had straight A's and I kept going back for the overrides for more. And then I came back with A's and I got the overrides for more.
No way.
And I graduated. I came in June of 2011. I graduated in May or June or July of that 2 years, exactly 24 months, while I was building my business. But that's just the intentionality that it's important for people to know that, because Snow's not my first company. Or I'm going to create Snow, my very first. Could be, right? There's no reason why it couldn't be. But that wasn't my story. My story was, first, I've got to figure out how to get myself out of a situation where I can be self-sustaining. I can pay my own stuff. I need to get scholarships because my family can't afford it for college. It was step by step by step by step. And that's why I have this ferocious drive that, I've had a lot of loss in my family. I've seen a lot of my friends, I've lost a lot of my friends. So for me, there's this seriousness about life, but I also love to play. My fiance keeps me young and we love to have fun. And there's a balance. We love to balance it. But that was important for me, because when I started Snow, I had a path of depression, kind of lost.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember I used to Google how much was Mark Zuckerberg worth at 23, and I'm 23, and it's like Wonder Boy syndrome, and it's like, well, Josh is a wizard, and like, what's your next company going to be? I bet it's going to be bigger than Apple. And it's like there's this pressure that gets put upon us, even as children. What do you want to be when you get older? What do you want to be when you get older? And you go, I want to be a movie star, and they go, no, you want to be a teacher. Yeah. And then you go, okay, teacher. And then people go, teacher, that's good. And then you get positive reinforced, and then your whole life is based off of this false illusionment of fitting in. And so I was like, whoa, I wanted to be a doctor, for example, right? So, which, nothing wrong, I still would love to be a doctor. But my path was different because my situation was different for me, and I needed to move. And so what I've been doing recently is unpeeling a lot of that, what happened before I started Snow, with being lost in terms of what I do next. So much pressure on what's next that you don't do anything. And then anything you do is somewhat, and I was stuck in this indecisiveness cycle, lacked self-esteem, a lot of imposter syndrome, just if it never goes away. But that was deep at that time. And that's why I knew I needed something that wasn't just, all right, we're going to sell mics online, greatmics.com, and then I do it again. I want to do something that might mean something, like big. And so I was calling for that, and it happened to be I'm going through jaw surgery, and all this stuff is coming together.
How did the broken jaw happen or whatever?
No, I had an underbite on my lower jaw, and caused by mouth breathing, by the way. If you mouth breathe, work on it. If your kids mouth breathe, correct it immediately. I just bought this book called Jaws, the hidden epidemic in the country and the world of kids' mouth breathing. But anyway, all my mouth work has been done because I'm a mouth breather. My narrow palate, my jaw surgery, my underbite. Because when you breathe through your nose, your tongue sits at your nasal cavity, like the top of your roof.
Okay.
When you breathe through your mouth, just like when you're talking, it sits at the bottom.
down.
So as a child, when you develop your adult teeth and your jaw structure, it evolves around like a
Pushing them
tree with a stick. And so because there's nothing up top, it forms a lot of times a lot more narrow than the bottom does where the tongue is sitting. And so that creates a lot of breathing issues. It creates jaw alignment issues. So I had an underbite that I knew I had to have surgery one day for it, voluntary. But it was brutal. 7.5 hours. They saw out your jaw, and anyone that's had it, you know, God bless you, because it is a process. They wire you shut, you know. And so when I'm going through that whole process, and I lost like 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was sitting there, and all I could do was like research stuff. So this was like firing me up, and I was kind of going through this, you know, depressive phase, and kind of lost a bit. That I think the surgery and all this stuff jolted me to say, okay, what am I going to do now? I got to stop feeling sorry for myself. I've got to create something that wakes me up with vigor in the morning, that challenges me, because that's the type of guy I am. This is my sport.
Yeah.
And so that's where Snow emerged as this is going to be it. But even still in the beginning, there wasn't the confidence I have today. It was like, I think teeth whitening, if we create a system
How
that's
long
better.
after college was that?
That was 2 years, two or
Really?
3
Okay.
years. Yeah, 2 or 3 years after, because I was finishing up the stuff that I had built. I was trying to figure it out. And also I went to work. I used to split school with work. I went from splitting school with work
What an incredible
to
story,
only
bro.
working, which for a workaholic means that all you do is work. So for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 3 years straight, all I did was work. And that led to the burnout, that led to just the disassociation, the misunderstanding of what my calling is, what is my real skill set, what do I want to be? And one of my mentors told me, he said, be the Josh 2 years from now today, and start acting like that, start walking that way. What does that look like? And I go, well, I'm behind. I got to start moving. I got to start thinking of what this product is. I got to get the website up. I got to do it myself. And so I cut my own time, because you will feel the time allotted. And so if you start to cut that time, I wake up every day like I'm that broke kid on the bus with a big dream. Every day I wake up, and I'm happy still, but not in a bad way. Now there's poverty guilt, and there's a lot of other things that you peel back on, where it's like I don't have the same fight or flight, where I've come to terms that I have a skill set that will always be desired, that I will do right by people, and I will protect my name and my reputation, and that I will always figure out a way to drive value in other people's lives. And I think that will be compensated, and I'm willing to learn. And you go through this path where you say, okay, I'm no longer chasing against poverty, because once you have, you know, a multi-million-dollar business and all these things, you know, and you got a nice house and you're living well, that chase that's built in primally is very hard to unwire.
Shut off.
And in many ways, it gets you to where you need to be, where you're safe, but it doesn't necessarily unhook. It doesn't. You have to tell yourself, I'm safe, I'm good, I'm never going to be in poverty again. I don't have to think that I'm racing against this. Will all be taken from me. This mentality to allow abundance to seep in and to multiply. And what I found is that I've never been more successful and more calm, in the sense of, I'm stressed, I'm still figuring out I'm mad stressed, we're all human, but calm in the sense of knowing this is what I should be doing. And like everything that comes to me will come to me. This too shall pass. Everything great comes with some of the bad, and that's what makes the great that much greater. So just a lot of these kind of stoic principles, a lot of the stuff that I've infused that have allowed me to operate the business differently, and I think attract really good talent that can sniff and say, oh, this guy's not just trying to get a car off of this. He doesn't pay himself from this thing. And that passion is a lot different. But my drive is there. It's just now I have a different approach, where I used to be the one doing it all. I have to do it all. I have to be the one. Delegate and empower, really. Like all of my investments have great operators. You know, we invested in a marijuana testing company, and they're incredible. I mean, they've got the most market share in the state. They build the furniture by hand. I mean, they know everything about that business. And for me, what I've learned in my 15 years so far is I've grown a huge appreciation, a respect for people that build businesses in general, entrepreneurship, self-employment, And when there's a business that has grown to a certain point, whether that be 1 million customers or 10,000 doors or whatever that is, it's hard. It's very, very difficult. So back in the day, I used to be like, oh, I buy a lot of shoes. I need to start a shoe company. Oh, I buy a lot of shirts. I need to start a shirt company.
I heard you say that, yeah.
You know, and like now I'm like, nope, I'm going to
What did you say on there
that.
was the reason not to do that? Because I heard it was like a really catchy, smart thing though. But I remember you saying that.
So, I mean, I use, because there's FOMO. There's
Yeah.
you know, oh, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea, I have this idea. Now I have a book where I write all the ideas out so that I can feel like they've come to life on paper at least. And, you know, you go, oh, I thought of that before. I thought it's never going to stop. But, you know, people don't, exceptional stands out so much more. And even if it's in a very diversified space, you know, if I was selling a microphone equipment, I would make it for you know, podcasters specifically instead of just radio hosts, etc. It's just podcast. The ability to be strong in that area takes a lot of work. And I realize, you know, you're looking at almost a decade with Snow of ideation, creation, scaling, and we're just getting started. And so for me to think about what's next, it's better for me to take the money I make from the things that I'm really good at and invest it into people that are really good at something else and that are good stewards of the money. And that allows me to multiply the one thing that we can't multiply, which is time. And so that allows me a hack in life because we all have the same 24 hours. And that's why I realized younger on, I said, wait a second, how does this person who's, you know, makes 10 times as much money as me and, you know, et cetera, and they have the same 24 hours. Elon Musk, same 24 hours. We all have the same 24 hours. So what he's doing and what I'm doing must be different. How do I do that? And so I went on this voyage to understand how people think so I can adopt those pieces into my own framework so that the things that I do will mean something, so that I can justify my time that I'm spending on things. And I'm very, very ruthless now about protecting my peace. So my ability to protect my mental peace, that sanity is actually what I bring to the table. My ability to take the complex and put it into simple is something that requires mental space. And if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm actually hurting the team. I'm hurting my ability, and people will see that. People remember that, especially if you're paid by judgment. If you're paid based on judgment, which is the highest paid skill in the world, Warren Buffett's paid off of judgment. A lot of the large public CEOs are paid off of judgment. They're a judgment to make decisions. If my judgment is faulty, so if I'm, you know, partying too much and I'm drinking too much, or I'm messing up too much, I'm losing what is my most powerful trait that I've been building my entire life.
Didn't I hear you kicking back on the partying?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've cut 90% of my in terms of partying, drinking out the window. I mean, we're just, you know, it's been a journey, man. And it is a journey. Every piece of it's a journey. And I think that,
especially for you, I feel like you could find a reason to celebrate every day.
Dude, it's while I used to be, oh, long day.
Yeah.
Great day.
Yeah.
Both.
Profitable day. It's
Profitable
snow.
day.
Yeah.
Not profitable day. Like there's
in.
constantly a reason to do something. And then, you know, you look, I'm grateful for a lot of the friends that I've made. I'm grateful for a lot of the experiences. Boy, have we had fun, and do we continue to have fun. It's just a different way. Like when we go to Vegas now, we're interested in the shows, we're interested in the restaurants, we're interested in those things. And we still have a good time when we go out and have fun.
Some people are still stuck in their partying days, bro. It's like you're in your 30s. You're grown,
Everyone's got their own, man, in their 80s. It doesn't matter. Everyone's got their own version is what I found. And, you know, you just gotta, you support the journey for everybody because everyone's at a different path. And that's what I figured out is like, I didn't want to be the guy that's like, yeah, I'm not drinking anymore. Like, oh yeah, I'm not partying as much anymore. I don't want to be that guy because I'm actually the opposite of that guy when I'm unleashed. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I can't do that, but it's important to say these things because during the pandemic, suicide, addiction, narcotics abuse, everything has skyrocketed. No one's talking about it, you know, not enough at least. And it's a big, big deal. And I think it was like 74% of suicides are male. And there's stigma still around men getting therapy, you know, men talking to even other men about this stuff instead of just like, yo, how's your business? Yo, how's your business? That's why we created Powerhouse, our community. Me and my partner, Lo Silva, I had for 10 years people wanting to create a community with me. Hey, we'll set it up. You come in. Da, da, da. I was like, no. He calls me and he was super direct. And he's like, look, I lost someone near and dear to me recently, and I want to create a community.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I want to build a safe place for mainly entrepreneurs to come to. Not that there aren't 1,000 masterminds, but something for us that we could feel safe in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what we created with Powerhouse. And immediately, it still is a huge success. And now we have spin-offs and cohorts, and it's been beautiful. But that was the thing, is that yes, we can talk about tactics. We have this mastermind, but when I hear, my fellow brothers and sisters in the community on entrepreneurship, I hear much more than that. And so it's like, it's hard for me, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So then especially when I'm in a position to mentor and teach, especially in Powerhouse, I can't help but cut through the bull crap and say, well, wait a second. Are you going to therapy? Are you working out? Mm-hmm. What are you eating? And it sounds so simple, but when you ask those questions, it starts to break down a lot of the chaotic, frantic states that have been implied through pandemic, a lot of the codependencies, a lot of the lack of self-esteem. People aren't traveling as much anymore. I used to be on a plane. I was in New York, then I'm on a home shopping network, then I'm flying home in one day. Now I'm like, how long is it? How long is the flight? And I'm sensing the weakness.
Sound like my dad over there.
Well, no, it's true, but it is. What it is that it's opportunity.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do a little bit of the traditional. One of my mentors sold his business recently for $14 billion cash.
14 what?
Billion.
With a B?
B. And he's 86 years old, going to be 87. I love him to death. I've learned could never repay the guy. But what I realized was that, I said, what was one of the big keys that made your business so profitable, so successful? He goes, we call them. We pick up the phone, we call the people that own this real estate. We talk to them, and we have great people on the phone. And I come in once a week as a chairman. I do a sales training still at 86 years old, and I keep everyone focused on what matters. Follow the money, Where everyone else is like digitizing AI,
Yeah.
And he's like, I've been doing this since the 60s. We're just going to do it kind of like that. Technology is cool where it makes sense, but it's that I think there's an opportunity for everyone listening is sniff for the weakness that has been bred, because it's no one's fault. It's natural primal survivorship bias. Wow, I don't want to leave my house as much anymore. My dog is going to miss me. Like all of these things that are not normally conducive to you pushing yourself a lot further.
For sure.
So that's where, in our organizations, we've reversed a lot of our work from home methodology, because we found that a lot of our younger talent should be in the office, actually. They should be the ones banging on the door saying, I want to meet with Josh next. You got 15 minutes, boss? Those are the people that should be in the office, not the ones petting their cats at home and doing Pilates while they're on Zoom. That is not going to propel that person. So when you have that conviction of like, this person is not growing in this position, and I have a right to remove them or replace them or empower them because I'm getting in the way of their personal development. Even though I came in wanting to be a part of that personal development, I am now a sitting duck, because the longer I wait to fire them or the longer I wait to talk to them, I'm hurting their ability to grow, and I'm wasting their time, and I'm wasting my time. And so there's this realness about, I think, that I apply into the teams, and I think is going to be very important over the next few years.
Okay.
This is a new business cycle. So people got to move quick. And so the ones that are afraid to travel, they're afraid. What you need to do is the opposite. You go, hey, you're in LA, right? Cool, I have a flight right here from Southwest. It's a nonstop. Oh my gosh, $99. I can be there tonight. You want to have dinner tonight? That will throw so many people off. And you're going to shock them, because they're going to be like, oh, I haven't been to dinner since COVID. But you're going to be the only one that took them to dinner.
For sure. Definitely the only one showing up out there. Wow, that's crazy. All right. Dude, I'm speechless by your story. Like, literally, I've just been sitting with my mouth open after. I don't even think I've said 10 words this podcast. I love this, though. I don't even know where to go next. This Inala thing, I'm just fascinated by your brain, bro. So, like, how does someone even start doing that? And, like, how does someone like you getting where you are, like, even touch another market like that?
Yes. Well,
Are you doing this because, like, I'm not even asking to make a difference, but, like, are you doing this to try and snag this brand to help you blow up just your name for everything? Or Or do you have such a name now, it just stumbles in you and you know how to do this? So it's like, because Matt Morgan, like with the dispensaries, he's like
I'll tell you what
cut and dry
happened.
operation.
This one, I got a message from Diddy. Diddy Instagrams me and says, "Hey, Lala Anthony's trying to get a hold of you. You
got Diddy hitting you up from
let me know."
Lala Anthony.
No, the sweetest. No, it was the sweetest thing. It was like I was shocked. I grabbed the phone and I show it to Charlie and I'm like, "Babe, look at this." And she's like, "Okay, well, take the call. Like, what are you doing?" And then I go into my message request. And Lala's message is in there, and I just hadn't had a chance to get to it. It was like a few hours ago. Of course, I'm going to respond to Lala Anthony. So I went and I opened it, and she said, "Hey, I'd love to hop on a Zoom. I've been, making this formula at home, DIY, and I've taught some of my friends, and now a lot of people are talking about it." And so I said, "Okay, let's jump on the phone. And there were many reasons that jumped out. And I get pitched 100 times a week. I mean, and I say no 99.999% of the time. I have to right now. But with her, Lala told me this story, and I see this excitement in her eyes. This just like this is it. Like this is my life's work. I found it.
So that snow look in her eyes with that.
It was a snow look, yeah. And she was like, "Josh," and then she tells me, "I've been listening to your podcast for years. And I like how, and she says, you're minority like me. I want to build, a minority woman-owned hair care line focused on rice water." And I said, "This sounds great." And we start going back and forth. She had a little deck that she put together. And I said, "You know what? When I left that call, I left with more energy than I came in." And that was something that kind of sat with me for a little bit. And it's not just because of Lala Anthony. There are lots of people I have an opportunity to work with or invest with, and other people do. But the conviction, the category, which was something I've always wanted to have a foot in the door in hair care. It's been something I've always watched and wanted to be a part of. But I think the fact of the matter is, I'm a young Hispanic West Phoenix entrepreneur building these brands, and I think that stood out to her when she found my podcast. And I was like, well, wait a second. There's got to be more people out there that've got great ideas. And we've got to show them that we can do this again and again, but I'm going to need your help. And I wouldn't have done it without my partner. I wouldn't have the idea without my partner. And so between me and Lala, we said, okay, let's go to work. You got some cash. I got some cash. Let's put a team together. And that's what started at Will. And now we've got, a line of products. This launched in January this year. And this is Lala's before and afters there herself. A note from her. This is our power potion. There's a drawer in here for additional products. But anyway, there's a crown polisher, which you use on your head. There's a comb.
That's like we talk about the marketing with the boxes,
here.
bro. That's like the big old Apple box on steroids.
This was a promo box. So this is a very special one. But this was different because I was at a point where, with Snow, where I had built enough networking where I could make a few calls and actually really help this business, something that I had a financial partner in that was going to put cash in. All of this stuff made sense with Lala and Inala for me to be a lot more involved than just a passive investment. But honestly, the team has been crushing it. The design has been out of this world. The results, the before and afters of people, which is exactly what we wanted to see. And now I'm hooked, Lala's hooked, and we're like, okay, what else do you imagine of a hair care line that could infuse our formula? And what does that look like over the next 5 years? And how do we bring in investors and partners that want to be a part of this ride with us that makes sense? And she's got a Rolodex and a friend list especially in the celebrity world that trumps even my list in the entrepreneurship world. And so between us, we wanted to make sure that we built something that worked, yet again, works. It's different. It gives the consumer an experience that is memorable. They want to refer. And yet again, this business came out of the gate with 1 out of 3 customers already coming back to return. The returning customer rate, last 30 days, I just pulled it, we're seeing on the initial products coming back. So those are signals that tell me to lean in. But these are different in the sense that they have a lot more involvement. Snow and frost, right? Snow is everything. But these have that extra involvement, and you can see that thread through the packaging. You can see that thread But now I'm threading that through my investment portfolio, things where, again, I have the same 24 hours, but there are certain things that I can kind of lend to my investments that allow them to have a similar unfair advantage where I don't have to necessarily be on a call, for products and things like that.
I don't even know what to say anymore. You're one of the coolest stories I've heard, bro. This has been fascinating to me.
Brother.
Thank you for taking the time to come here and drop us a game on that, bro. It is very inspiring. Coming from nothing like that is cool, and those are the stories that I love. So everybody go follow Josh Snow, subscribe to the episode, and thank you again for being here, too. I've been speechless.
Hey, my
It was cool.
pleasure. Anytime.
Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and leave us some feedback. We would love to know what you think. You can find everything discussed in this episode and more in our show notes below or petermeyerhoff.com. I am Peter Meyerhoff, and you've been listening to the Roll Call with Chappy podcast.